Ruckus Avenue Radio.
Hi guys, it's Sunny and Shay on Ruckus Avenue Radio, and welcome to our brand new podcast, which is called Unfiltered. We were here a couple of months back with a show called Sunny and Shay Go to Hollywood. So if you haven't had a chance, do listen out to that. But we're really delighted. We're recording live on the Hollywood Walk of Fame here at Dash Studios. And there's a lot to talk about in this podcast series. We are going to be meeting with dear friends, celebrities based here in LA. If you don't know much about Sunny and I, we are husband and wife. We're from London. So we're really discovering what this fantastic place has to offer. And there's a lot to come on the podcast. I'm really excited about it.
I am as well. And you'll get to hear who we are and what we're all about as well, and give you an insight into what Sunny and Shay sound like without guests as well. Because there's one of the things that why we're doing this is, number one, we love the United States. Most of our culture, most of my favorite things are from here. But also LA itself is quite unique because it's a massive melting pot of so many different people and places. Yeah. And we see LA not as a city, but as a quilt with different cities within it. Exactly. So it's so exciting to talk to individuals from this place, but also people who are migrating here and making this their home or their step to the next part of their career, which is in the creative industry. Yes.
Now, our guest on today's podcast is actually a really dear friend. We figured out we've known each other for like 9 years. I don't know how that has happened. And each continent that she goes to, somehow we managed to follow her. You will know her from the documentary film Nights of Burlesque. You'll know her, of course, when she featured and did a beautiful performance on Latex Fashion TV. And she also was a huge starlet on Singapore Social. For Sunny and I, having followed her career as a burlesque performer, we know her as Sukki Menon, but she is now also an actress.
Yes.
She's here, she's in LA. There's a lot of work that I think she can tell us about or not tell us about.
Yeah,
we're going to try and find out. We have the fantastic Sukki.
Wow.
How are you?
Thank you so much.
You've done such a wealth of work. I mean, just talking about some of that right there. And we've been so lucky to follow all of that.
And we've interviewed you to every stage of that stuff, which is almost like this growing passion about women's rights, about activism, but also about the arts and changing people's view on burlesque dancing. But then every stage of this, when we do interview you, you have this amazing warm persona that brings you into these conversations. But at the same time, there is a performance element to it, which we've discussed in the past. You should do acting. And finally, you're acting. You're in LA.
And
what's going on?
For the longest time, I wanted to say, that's kind of what I'm picking up. Every time you said it, I would be sweating. Like, my face would be starting like, don't say anything, don't say anything.
And finally, you reveal this to us, not at a meet, not when we went out for dinner, not when we were having a drink outside, but on our podcast.
Which
which
feels
is
right.
Yeah, it does feel right.
Yeah, that's crazy. I think you guys are the only people who have ever interviewed me who have been there from the start.
Oh, wow.
Which is unreal, because it does feel like this is a catch up, but also family. And it's so rare to like know people from the beginning. So this is so exciting for me as well. But it was an accident though, to be quite honest with you. Moving towards acting was a complete accident, and it was kind of exasperated by COVID.
Right.
So when we last spoke, I was kind of at the heights of my burlesque career, and I'd done the Netflix show that had just come out, and then suddenly the world went into this insane lockdown.
Nightmare.
And honestly, I think for a lot of us, we just thought, right, well, that was a good run of it. Cool. Entertainment's done. Okay. All the theaters closed, and I thought, okay, my burlesque career is now well and truly over. And it was during COVID, actually, and because of COVID, that a network reached out to me and said, can you act? We've got a role for you as a burlesque artist on a scripted show. So that's how they got me.
I love it.
That's how they hooked me.
So they put you so they saw what you did and thought, right, we need someone. And to hear someone who does
instead of getting somebody to act, get somebody who actually knows how to perform burlesque.
But then do some acting on the side of it, which they didn't realize that you are quite good at acting as well.
Turns out I can do that. I think. So I went and did the audition, and I got through, but the show was put on ice.
Right.
But then that's when I caught the bug. And so thus began, during COVID, the secret mission of learning the craft. Because I kind of didn't want my like the next acting project or the next television project that I did to be rubbish. I needed it to be, you know what I'm like, it's typical Asian, over deliver. If I'm going to act now, it needs to be really good.
You've got like such an array of amazing shows. Like Singapore Social Netflix was huge, right? And for people who didn't know you before as a burlesque performer, for anyone who's finding out about you now, you know, Sukki, you are the only South Asian burlesque performer in the world who's gone to the heights that you have, and you kind of brought it mainstream and say, like, obviously you want the next thing to be just as good, right?
It was like, they always say, don't try and beat somebody else, beat yourself.
Yeah.
And myself was a tough act to follow.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I kind of had to do the work. So yeah, it was a case of stripping back burlesque, literally going back to my original hair color and using myself as a canvas and growing into the characters of other people. I mean, you guys know me. I'm very socially awkward anyway. I'm quite shy. I'm not going to try and hide that. I'm a nerd.
That's why we love you.
So the character, like, I guess Sukki Singapore, whilst it was me, was feigning the confidence of that rainbow human and really going into it. So I
had like the wild hair, the beautiful different hair colors, you know. Is this the first time, do you think, Sunny, that we've seen Sukki
No, I've seen it once
normal
before.
hair, like brown hair?
I think you did one shoot where you had it all black.
Shoot where I had to wear a wig.
Oh, was it a wig?
It was a wig.
And you've had red hair, yellow hair, pink hair, blue. I mean, like everything.
And when I saw that, and I was like, stay with that look, it's amazing. And you went, oh, thank you. And then the next post was rainbows back. And like
rainbows.
And the thing is, it's interesting, like you said, like it's a canvas, a black canvas. And how is, okay, now we're here in LA and we all got English accents, okay?
Right.
So our home is London, our home is the United Kingdom.
Yes.
How has it been for you to adjust and try to settle here in LA, which doesn't feel so much different from London, because London's got its boroughs and it has its pockets as well.
Right.
But here it's just a bigger scale, isn't it, LA?
Yeah, it is. It's big but small, as with any city. Right. I guess I went from Singapore to the UK, so I'd already kind of got to know that you find families no matter where you are in the world.
Yeah, that's nice.
So then when I got here, and I've only just moved, so it feels like super fresh. I've only just got into the town. It was just about like starting to find your community.
Yeah.
But it's really funny because I have that Singaporean heritage. A lot of my friends are Chinese Singaporean community.
Okay.
Right.
And there's kind of like two crews here in LA.
Really?
So there's like Chinese American crew, and then there's the Desi crew in terms of entertainment, and they kind of mix, but they also have their home crowd.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So Asian and then South Asian is what you're saying, like this. Okay,
yeah,
cool,
so it's funny because I dropped into town and I was hanging around with the Chinese Americans, and then the Desi crew was like, what?
Yeah.
But it made total cultural sense to me. So I feel like, and now I'm getting to know the Desi community, so I feel like the bridge between, between both.
Because us coming to Ruckus Avenue Radio and doing these podcasts with these amazing guys here in LA, it was a trust aspect of it, number one. And number two is to explore the conversations we wanted to with the freedom that we wanted to have these conversations with. Do you find that there is some kind of restriction when it comes down to people of color here in LA? Or do you think that's more
in London, maybe?
Yeah, or in London.
Yeah.
Where do you find the difference for, I guess, work and also your opportunities that lie for in the future? Because you are very much living here now, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if you'd have asked me that a year ago, it would be very different to the answer that I can give you now.
Really?
Right.
Which is, I really feel that now suddenly Desis are having a moment, and actually whereby before you were trying to get that one Asian role to be that one character, and there was thousands of people going for that one person. We've now got shows like Never Have I Ever, Mindy Show, obviously
Ms. Marvel.
Ms. Marvel, which is an incredible Muslim superhero.
Yeah.
You've got Indian Matchmaker. Just recently a cartoon came out as well, a Desi cartoon. So I feel like actually this is our time.
In LA.
In Los Angeles. And
Love
I feel
it.
like I've just dropped right into
Perfect
The right place at the right
the
time.
middle of it.
Right,
So
yes.
so it actually feels flowy rather than restrictive, and I'm super excited about
And
that.
when you
Love
talk
it.
about the craft itself of acting, which you appreciate, it is a different ball game to burlesque dancing. How are you training for that? Are you enrolled in sort of like acting classes, or are you doing it online, or are you going to theatres? How are you sort of
I feel like I'm going to give you an answer. I'm going to be really told off because I'm kind of.
We don't want you to get told off.
Manager's gonna be like, why did you say that?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm kind of making it up, but what it is
Isn't that what that's exactly what acting is?
I don't want to discredit people who have done that acting journey and known what they wanted to do since they were a kid. But at the end of the day, when I was a child, I did acting lessons and I was brilliant at it.
Right.
But I was also great at other things like dancing. I was great at singing. And so my mum said this thing, which was, you're a jack of all trades and master of none. Yeah. Which like really...
It's a brilliant quote.
But it also gave me this complex of, which do I pick? I have to specialize in one.
You have to go...
Right.
No, you don't.
But that kind of acting thing was always there as a child. I was always playing up to the camera.
Got you.
And so I feel like my career was always going to bend its way back to inevitability. But I haven't had, as you say, the classic training, the theatre. But I have learnt theatrics on stage.
Can you tell us the full quote? Because Sunny has been going on about this quote.
Hold on a minute. Dallas, can you get the full quote? Because actually it's a compliment to people.
We've got our lovely camera
Dallas
guy,
is with us again.
in the
So could you get the full quote for the jack of all trades? Because actually it compliments the guy who doesn't master at one, because that way you haven't wasted your time on one art.
So true.
So you've actually got half a quote.
Yeah.
And so like maybe this is going to make you feel better.
Better about yourself. Yeah.
Okay, I love this.
Have you got the quote?
Go on, Dash.
Tell us, Dallas.
Dallas.
So it's a jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one.
Whoa! Give me a phone. Give me the phone. That was a mic drop moment.
That's a mic drop moment. You didn't know the full quote?
So this is the full quote, and actually this will be great for you. And Dallas, mic drop moment. So the full phrase is, a jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one.
Whoa.
So actually, you doing,
crazy.
you know, the fact that you're like doing performance, production, art, and now acting that's you.
That's what you
right.
need. Yeah.
However, you do kind of need to know what you're doing.
So here's the thing. I was going to say that to you.
So that's great. But then when COVID happened, I had to learn.
No, but I'm with you.
I had to learn.
Ruckus Avenue Radio.
One of the most interesting thing is that one of my favorite actors of all time have to be someone like Amitabh Bachchan in India. But then over here we've got people like Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, and then we've got Tom Hanks. All of these people are credited with accolades and everything. But the biggest actor in this city was Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
Right? He's a bodybuilder who couldn't speak the language. His name itself was so big, they were like, can you shorten it to Strong? He goes, no, I ain't doing that. Right? So this is someone who really much wielded acting and gave everyone a performance that they wanted to see.
But look at The Rock.
And The Rock, he's another one.
Sometimes,
he's a performer on that other stage like yourself.
Yeah.
And he's adapted it. So I think you give yourself less credit. I think you already were ready for this role.
Yeah, I think so. I know as well. I think the characteristic that defines them all is they work hard.
Yes.
Yeah. And with everything I do, I put I
live,
breathe it. As you know, my hustle game has been so hard on the way up, to land that Netflix show and then going forward with everything that I did. And likewise, when I got to that point where, okay, turns out I guess I can act, I really wanted to smash it. Yeah. So I got myself the best acting coach out here. We did Zoom acting, obviously, during COVID. Yeah. And I was on it every single day learning my craft. But also, I found that I'm a very honest person. And I can't fake even when I want to. Because if I did, I would fake being cool. And I can't. So I also found that there's something to be said for innate natural talent. And what I have found is that rather than acting per se, I simply find elements of the characters that are me and I just embody and reach into it.
Got you.
Absolutely, which I've now kind of discovered to be method acting.
Yes, it is.
And I guess also the reason why I say, oh my gosh, don't tell me off this is because a lot of people starting out in acting who have gone from different fields find this the most comfortable method. Yeah. However, I think it's very much what I like to sit in.
Okay.
Downsides are you need to learn when to snap out of it.
This is what happened with some of the greats, and also I forget his name, Heath Ledger. He lived the Joker for a long time.
Yes.
They've recently just released a book of his diary of the Joker and what he's sketched in there as the Joker, and it's quite disturbing what you saw in that. But that was what he was carrying in himself when he was performing.
You've got to go deep, but you've also got to know when to learn how to snap back in when people are taking you out. I'll give you an example. The second audition I did was to play this heroin addict. And so luckily I found out completely coincidentally that my father, who was a brilliant psychiatrist, actually created some of the first ever studies observing heroin addicts and trying to cure them using methadone. So he had all of these documentation on the characteristics of heroin addicts. I went in so deep, so deep to get this audition. However, learning, and this is just a couple of months ago, my mum would come in and go, do you want a cup of tea? And I found it really, really hard to kind of stay deep in at the start and not be brought out by, do you want a cup of tea? Darling.
Cup of tea, please.
So tough, because you can't be like, no. You can't be like, screw you, mum. You'll regret that the next day. So it's about, so training has been a big part of it. And now I think I've got to that point where I'm nailing it.
Good.
And really excited to just, I guess you guys are the first guys to kind of cover the beginning of this journey. As
I'm so excited.
I'm excited to really share that, because it really is a process that I'm going through right now.
How have you found, like Sunny and I were saying, whenever we come to America, as soon as we open our mouths, people love us. Like, how have you found that?
With the accent.
The accent.
Or do you put on an American accent?
Yeah, do you put the American?
When you're trying to relate with everyone around you, like
Dallas just laughed.
Dallas laughing like
I didn't say. Hi, Sharon.
That's the thing. Otherwise, you wouldn't give us a job. We just
oh my God.
Otherwise, you might think we're just a novelty, mate.
But the crazy thing is they think we have an accent.
Yeah, I know.
So we're saying American accent. So I went into another network, which I won't say.
Okay.
But I went to this network. I sat down in this boardroom. They've got the screen. I'm like, talking my British accent, bumbling about, thinking I'm being like, this is cool. I've got the edge. And they took one look at me and they go, can you lose the accent? Can I lose the accent?
Yeah. Are you trying to impress us?
Wait, this isn't fake. This is my actual accent.
Yeah.
I just thought it was so funny. I was like, do you mean can I put on
an accent?
Do you want me to be American?
Yeah.
So yes, that is what they require. So actually for a couple of the things that I'm doing at the moment, and this is where you're going to laugh at me. Dallas is I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
No, do it. You know why? Dallas has only ever heard of these things, right? Yeah. In hypotheticals when people are drinking and no one does that. Yeah. And now he's in the environment, he's like, these guys are weird. I'm learning a whole culture about fakeness.
Yeah. But you've got to, and you've got to learn it. And it's like the little nuances, like for example, the word work. Yeah. To work is work.
Work. Yeah, work.
Whoa.
Yeah. Whoa.
So we say derby, as I learned earlier on, and in America they say derby.
Derby.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
The thing is,
tomato. Tomato.
All right.
Potato.
Sorry.
Yeah. Christian Bale. When he came here, he said every party he went to, he would have an American accent, and his friends who were from America, from England, like, what are you doing, mate? Why are you talking like that? And he's like, listen, mate, you want to get anywhere in this city, just keep speaking in an American accent.
Really?
Because people can't relate to you. It's all about mimicking the person in front of you, make them feel comfortable, right? Okay. So he's like, and this guy's like, you don't know what you're talking about. They like the English accent, innit? They want to sort it out. And they're like, not everybody here has an English accent in their roles. So just play the role even when you're out, right?
So crazy.
Christian Bale.
I love that.
And so
he goes hardcore in.
Oh my God, every time. So
now,
have
you found that then? What's Sunny saying then? Have you found that?
Again, not so great at anything apart from being myself. Yeah. So I have gone on full bumbling mode. And that's kind of what I'm sticking with. But I think as you spend time in a country, especially if you're a third culture kid, which I am, we kind of like sometimes get accused of code switching because we can't control, because we've had so many cultural influences. So as I find myself here, it's almost like I'm becoming more British to fight it.
See, that's what Shay does.
It's taking over me, and I don't want to look like I'm taking the piss. Which means, by the way, obviously,
she doesn't literally takes a glass and takes somebody's piss. That's just a phrase. Dallas looked at me. I'm using Dallas as a reference to the American audience. Like, why the fuck would they take a piss?
The American in the room was like, I don't know about this.
And just like that phrase, you eat shit. I mean, I don't know where they get that reference from. Like, how do you even do that? You eat your shit. I'm like, where do you get that from? Do you know what I mean? I eat piece of shit like you for breakfast. Like, why would you eat pieces of shit in the morning? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense.
Are they talking about?
This American, taking the piss is still better.
You always say, "Are you on crack?" And people are like, "What?"
Yeah, what? Yeah, I say that a lot.
Oh no, we don't say that here.
We say that.
No.
And there's another word that you can't really say, but it's quite funny enough, right? When we were here last time, somebody kept telling me to say "fuck off" in an English accent because they love it. Like, Sonny, can you do me a favor? Just on my phone, just say, "I'm not here." It's the person's name. I don't want to say the name, and say, "Fuck off." And why don't you just say it? He goes, it sounds so good in an English accent.
But you know what? That's Gordon Ramsay for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Gordon, you prat.
Gordon Ramsay nailed that out here.
So every time they hear it in English accent, they're like, he's going to swear, he's going to get angry. And we're all smiling and they're like, that's not how we know the Brits. Do you know what I mean? So we're running out of time, which is shocking. Because we've got so much to talk about. So quickly, in a nutshell, what is a 2020, not 2022, 2023 sort of hoping for? So paint the picture in the forward where you hope to be.
Love that 100%. So I watch this space and I'm going to put it out there because I believe in the law of attraction, manifestation, speaking things into existence.
That's how we got here.
Exactly.
That's how we got here.
Yeah.
So next year you will see my first ever scripted show. I'll be filming it and it will...
Can I come in it?
Can you? Come join.
What accent? What accent do you want? Australian? I can do Australian, mate. G'day.
Right. Okay.
I can do that. I can do that all day long.
Do a bit of Scottish if you want.
Scottish.
That was so good.
Yeah, it's really good.
Thank you very much. It's almost like she's an actress. Oh my god.
This is crazy.
Sukki.
Now Dallas has lost completely where we are with everything we're saying.
What's
He's like,
anymore. He's completely confused. Look at that confusion on his face.
He's doing his own accent, bless him.
Exactly.
Okay, so first scripted show. Tell us more.
It will happen. It'll come out. I'm hoping to have that all wrapped up this year. And then next year is the year where you see me stepping into the role of scripted.
Nice.
And from that point, I really want to put not just Desi artists on the map because I feel like that is happening within that acting community and statement space, but I really want to put third culture kids on the map because there's so many of us now. And I understand that in diversity, it's always easier to be a specific box. Yeah. And yet there's this wild community of biracial, mixed race, global citizen, third culture, kid Asians, and they need a voice. So I'm hoping to be that voice for them next time.
Love it. I love that new phrase.
That. And, because it's not something Sonny and I talk about, but, you often will also focus on and really talk about women empowerment. I mean, you've done that, quite openly. If anyone hasn't seen your burlesque performances, they should check that out.
Yeah. Let's not take away from the amazing hard work that you've done as Sukki Singapura, but now moving forward, Sukki is amazing.
It's the next step, exactly. But are you waving goodbye? Do you still love to do dance and as a hobby?
Or is it that just going to keep for your husband?
Or have you laid that to rest?
Do you know what?
For your husband. She's single.
I know, that's what I said, for a husband. Future man. Like, I'm practicing for the honeymoon.
Applications may apply. No,
gosh. Thanks, guys. Just put me out there. But also not lying. No, I'll always be a very gesticulating, movement-orientated human being. That's kind of who I'll always be. But this weekend, I opened an exhibition at the Burlesque Hall of Fame exhibiting one of my costumes.
Wow.
And I cut the tape on it, and it really felt like I'd handed over the legacy.
Nice.
And it was a really fantastic way to do it, which is promoting Asian burlesque artists who changed the world and celebrating that. And I felt like, you know what? If you're going to end an era, do it at the Burlesque Hall of Fame Museum. And
I don't know if they'll let me in though.
That is
I don't know.
amazing.
in Vegas.
In Vegas?
Yeah, in Las Vegas.
Wow,
So it's
babe.
that was the moment this week where I was like, and then curtain call.
Curtain call.
And the
Curtain
next
call.
act begins.
See, it's nice because the
Beautiful.
fact that you've ended it like that, if anyone's making a documentary in the future about Sukki, this is where it stopped.
Yeah.
Tune in next week for when she becomes an actor.
Part two.
Part 2.
That's huge,
That's
though,
so good,
hey?
yeah.
For you to have started from Singapore, gone to London, done Europe, been at Cannes and fantastic Netflix shows, to then be in Vegas. I think actually you're right. It's the
next
way
step, yeah.
you say goodbye to that chapter of your career as you start your new career.
Yeah,
I think it's
it feels
beautiful.
right.
Sukki, it's been such a pleasure.
It
Thank you so much.
has.
So much.
And thank you for
likewise.
being, one of our guests on our new podcast that we're doing out here in
Yeah.
LA. And hopefully, you can let everyone know to listen in.
Heck
That'd be
yes.
really nice because we need all the help we can get.
You guys
all
are
right?
absolutely
Yeah.
killing it. So
Oh, thank you.
the pleasure is all mine,
Thank
truly.
you.
You're such an
And
angel.
guys, if you've just discovered Sukki, you really need to check her out. Follow her on all her social media, Sukki, Sukki. And you can get all the details there. Instagram, it's Sukki Menon, but I know we're going to get that snap to Sukki as soon as we can.
As soon as we can.
Yoink.
You're not using the account. Give it to her, man.
Exactly. Damn you.
Damn it, man.
and,
Dallas, where's your account? Yeah, you can't even find Dallas.
I know, he's
Yeah,
never
what's
going to get
on?
Dallas, is he?
We've got Sunny and Shay, though.
we're going to be back next year with our second series podcast for this. So I want you back because there's so much more like I can tell from your
Shay,
face.
I'm in.
She's not
I'm in her scripted
sharing.
work. I'm already.
How do you
I want
guys-
more, man.
Yeah.
I want to know more about what's happening.
Fair.
And you can check us out on Sunny and Shay. Go to Ruckus Avenue Radio. As ever, thank you for joining us on our Unfiltered podcast.